Chapter 871, Who is Your Boss? Mu Weining's advertising firm was now thriving and booming in business with more than 100 employees, several of whom were among the top advertising planners in China. And now, Tang Xiu had become the legend of this advertising agency. Whether it was a senior or a newly recruited employee, everyone knew that the company was able to grow to this extent in just half a year by relying on the boyfriend of their boss, the owner of magnificent Tang Corporation, Tang Xiu. Tang Xiu walked by Mu Weining in the spacious corridor to the general manager's office. He didn't know that his arrival had caused a stir in the entire company. OMG. Boss's boyfriend is so handsome. I'll probably wake up laughing from a dream if I can have such a resourceful and handsome boyfriend. Is he the big boss of magnificent Tang Corporation? Truly a match for the boss. Look at how handsome he is and compare it with those ugly bumpkins in our company who fancy her. What a contrast between Prince Charming and the Toads. That's the legendary big boss of magnificent Tang Corporation. He's also the young divine doctor in Chinese medicine who has caused sensation throughout China. I finally see my idol today. Oh, God. Why didn't I bump into him just now? No. I must go and see this great guy. Awesome man. Inside the general manager's office, Tang Xiu crossed his legs while sitting on a soft sofa as he looked down at the bustling square below. With his back to Mu Weining, he said with a smile, when a person stands alone at a high place, to feel lonely at the top is inevitable when they overlook all living beings below. Everyone makes an all-out effort to achieve what they want, and yet they are unaware that only loneliness awaits them in the end. Mu Weining broke into laughter and said, Have you not yet reached the apex point either? Tang Xiu turned and looked at Mu Weining as he shook his head and replied, There are some matters I can't tell you for the time being. But I've truly tasted the loneliness an expert feels. Mu Weining knew that Tang Xiu was a cultivator, so she nodded and said, Regardless of whether you'll reach the apex and look down on all sentient beings, or are stranded among a sea of faces and people, I will be with you. Wow. I didn't expect such romantic words from the great Belle Mu, teased Tang Xiu with a smile. Well, that's beautiful to hear, though. You're annoying. Mu Weining rarely showed her girly side and charmingly rolled her eyes at Tang Xiu. Knock, knock. The door was knocked and Mu Weining's female secretary stood outside. Boss, Mr. Tang, this is the freshly brewed tea. Thank you. Tang Xiu nodded with a smile. The female secretary returned back with a smile. Just as she came outside, her voice was heard screaming, Hey! What are you all doing here? Get back to your work. A lot of voices that belonged to a bevy of young women came from outside the door. These girls were not afraid of the female secretary at all and instead grinningly asked about Tang Xiu's affairs. Inside the office, Mu Weining chuckled. I dare bet that none of the female employees of the company has the mind to do their work today, eh? Well, the male employees are likely to have no spirit to work today either, though, said Tang Xiu smilingly. With that said, the duo smiled at each other. As noon came, Tang Xiu stayed at the advertising agency to have lunch and then left afterward. Mu Weining was busy since Zhang Qingfeng, who they met last night, came with a few of his friends from the business circle to introduce them to Mu Weining. Zhang Qingfeng really came very quickly to return their present with his. There's a fight, boss. On the way back, Mo Ao, who had answered a call while driving, turned his head and reported. What and who's fighting? Tang Xiu was confused. I just got a message that some members of the Special Abilities Bureaus are fighting the Western Bloodkin in the Paradise Manor. Tang Xiu's expression changed and he suddenly remembered that Shanjena was there. Did these Westerner Bloodkin come for Shanjena? Or, were they from the Stygian Club? As he thought up to there, Tang Xiu ordered in a deep voice. Notify those who stand on guard in Paradise Manor to warn those bloodkins not to act rashly, and refrain from showing mercy if they don't listen. Understood, replied Moa, and he grabbed his mobile phone back. Paradise Manor. Duanmu Lin was leaning on a walking stick with a dragon figurehead as a trace of blood spilled out from the corner of his mouth. All the 12 ability users from the Special Abilities Bureau were likewise similarly injured as they surrounded and glared at the 7 people. To be precise, that would be 7 vampires with their wings open. One of them who stood in the middle was a handsome young man with blonde hair and blue eyes clad in white casual clothes, but was besmeared with blood. At the moment, his imposing aura was surging out and he was holding a skull scepter that emitted out a dark aura. I advise you to get the fuck off, else I won't care about your identity as Chinese nationals, nor will I show mercy to your people anymore. The handsome young man twisted his neck while his blood-red eyes and thick fangs seemingly gave a sign that he would keep attacking. I already warned you last night to get the fuck out of China. This is our country, not your Western world, retorted back Duanmu Lin coldly. But not only did you not listen, but you also attacked Chinese people and sucked their blood. Blood is our food and we need it, alright? Don't tell me you want to make us weak or something. The handsome young man made an unnerving smile. Besides, we just suck their blood. We didn't kill them, nor make them thralls either. Do you people of the Chinese Special Abilities Bureau care about such trifles? Those who are not our kind are sure to be of a different heart, replied back Duanmu Lin coldly. You staying in China will eventually be a hidden danger to us, so get lost from our country. Else, don't blame us in resorting to killing and leaving you all here. The handsome young man's wings shook as he swung the skull scepter in an instant and 2 black cyclones formed out of thin air, to violently storm 2 ability users. Golden Shield. Right as the 2 ability users were flying backward, a burly middle-aged elementalist man from the Special Abilities Bureau unleashed his special ability, causing numerous metals to instantly melt to form a protective wall in front of the 2 ability users, in order to intercept the black cyclone. At the same time, a metal needle shot through the black tornado lightning fast and pierced the chest of that handsome youth. Humph, the handsome youth disdainfully smiled. He tightened his chest muscles, so the metal needle was only able to pierce half a centimeter of his chest and stuck on it. And thus, the fight commenced once again. At this time, however, 4 figures moved like lightning blots from various directions. They were 2 men and 2 women with surging auras. Their sudden appearance made the 2 parties have a drastic change in expression and caused them to cancel their attack and suspend the fight. Our boss has commanded. You are not allowed to fight in Paradise Manor. Don't blame us if we get rid of you ruthlessly if you all go against his orders. The tall and burly expert from the Everlasting Feast Hall shouted in a heavy voice along with his boiling killing aura. Duanmu Lin frowned as he looked and asked the burly man, "Who's your boss?" "I believe you'll see him soon," answered the burly man indifferently. "He's catching up and should be here in half an hour at most." Half an hour? Duanmu Lin shot a cold stare at the 7 vampires and said in a deep voice, "Since your boss is the owner of this place, we'll wait for half an hour." The handsome youth of the Bloodkin looked vigilantly at the 4 people who just appeared. He could sense the great strength these 4 possessed. Even though he was confident he could kill them, he wasn't sure whether there were no other experts hiding in this place besides them, waiting to ambush. "These Chinese people are too rude, Lord. Let's just straightly kill them," said a vampire who flapped his wings. The handsome youth raised his hand to stop the other 6 vampires who were ready to attack. He then looked at the burly man who had just spoken and said, "Who exactly is your boss?" The burly man coldly replied, "I already told you to wait for half an hour and you'll see him naturally. Especially for you all, Bloodkin. You come here as guests, but if you dare to continue fighting before our boss arrives, don't blame us in exterminating you all completely." Bloody pompous. The handsome youth was angry, yet he didn't attack. The time elapsed bit by bit in deadlock. Ouyang Lulu, who sat atop the loft nearby, looked at the people in a temporary stalemate with a solemn face. She only knew the 4 people who appeared later. They were the people Tang Xiu assigned to stay and protect the safety of Paradise Manor. She had also seen a vampire before, Shan Jenna, when she was living in Paradise Manor. However, Moe took a lot of her blood yesterday, and thus she went to look for Han Jintong in anger, but was currently not here. Damn. It would have been fine if Tang Xiu was here. You all dare to have a battle royale in my place, like seriously? I'll be kicking all your asses out for severely affecting my business. Ouyang Lulu yawned and watched her mobile phone screen in boredom. As more than 20 minutes elapsed, her spirit soared when she saw a car driving fast toward this direction. She didn't know who was inside it, but at least it was much better than wasting time in idleness like this. It's so bustling and lively here. I hope this is some more powerful people. That was what Ouyang Lulu was imagining. Just as she saw the car rushing to the crowd and stopping there, however, her eyes were filled with pleasant surprise because she had identified the man. It was Tang Xiu who had come back. The appearance of Tang Xiu attracted the attention of everyone nearby. Tang Xiu himself, however, slightly creased his brows upon seeing two buildings collapsed and ruined due to the fight in the surroundings. Senior Duanmu, let the matter end here. I also gotta charge you to deal with the renovation of this place. Duanmu Lin snappily glared at Tang Xiu and said, I already guessed the boss they mentioned after these few people appeared. I really never thought this Paradise Manor to be your industry. Also, my Special Abilities Bureau is not dirt poor. We'll compensate you for this. Tang Xiu faintly smiled at his words and then looked at the handsome Westerner youth. He calmly spoke to him, I don't care which bloodkin clan you come from. But you've made a mess in my turf, so compensation is necessary. I hear your bloodkin are very rich, so you'll have to pay 100 million. Who the bloody hell are you? Asked the handsome youth coldly. I'm the boss of this Paradise Club, said Tang Xiu. The handsome youth looked at Mo next to Tang Xiu, and after thinking for a moment, replied, as long as you can make these ability users not bother us, I'll compensate you. Tang Xiu mockingly grinned and said, judging from your words, you seem to have come to China just to stir up trouble, haven't you? Chapter 872, Colossal Deal. The handsome youth retracted his wings back while his blood-colored eyes and fangs also gradually receded. He stared at Tang Xiu for a long while before he finally decided to not act foolhardy. He then said in fluent Mandarin, we are looking for someone in China, not to stir up some troubles. We won't kill anyone here, but your Chinese Special Ability Bureau's people attacked us. Be it the killing and blood-sucking either is similar concept, said Duanmu Lin. You all bloodkin need blood, but don't suck it out of Chinese citizens. We only took a small volume of blood from them. Their lives will never be in danger and they will only feel weak for a short time, angrily retorted the handsome youth. Besides, we made them faint before we sucked their blood. There's no way we'll expose our identity, to begin with. On top of it, those women all like money and we left them quite a sum of money for them in the hotel. You left them money too? Tang Xiu was amazed. How much? 10,000, answered the youth. 10,000 yuan? Quite a lot indeed. Tang Xiu nodded. It should be enough for them to buy nutritional supplements to recover the lost blood. It's in GBP, mind you. Pound sterling, added the youth. But those women were just idiots. They didn't know GBP, even they call the cops. Truly bloody idiots. Cough, cough. Tang Xiu couldn't help but feel shame for these women. Their blood was taken for a small volume, yet they were actually paid for 80,000 plus yuan. If they truly liked money, he was sure they would be glad after figuring it out. Tang Xiu. Ouyang Lulu jogged from the distance and happily grabbed Tang Xiu's arm. Her looks made everyone around shocked, including even Duanmu Lin. Tang Xiu slightly smiled at her. He then looked at the youth and asked again, anyways, who's this person you're looking for, exactly? My sister, Shan Jenna, answered the handsome youth. Are you from Salzburg, by chance? Tang Xiu asked in surprise. The expression of the handsome youth slightly changed and he asked in a heavy tone, "How did you know? Who the bloody hell are you?" Tang Xiu beckoned with a smile and looked at Duanmu Lin. "Elderly Duanmu, you can give them to me. I can assure you that they will never make any trouble in our country, nor will any blood-sucking incidents like before happen again. I'll make them leave China in up to a week. I can set my mind at rest and I trust you." "But do you know them?" asked Duanmu Lin with a frown. "Well, there's a bloodkin living in this Paradise Club actually. And it's exactly his younger sister, Shanjena," said Tang Xiu with a smile. Duanmu Lin thought for a moment before he nodded and said, "If so, then you'll take care of the rest." With that said, he didn't dilly-dally nor muddle anything in the slightest and led the elementalists of the Special Ability Bureau to leave quickly. After they left Paradise Manor, a burly middle-aged man asked Duanmu Lin with indignant face, "Chief, who exactly is the owner of this Paradise Club, and why did you give him those bloodkin? If these vampires were to create chaos, wouldn't it be hard for us to get rid of them?" A smile appeared on Duanmu Lin's old face as he replied, "You've just come out from your cultivation in seclusion, so you don't know much about recent events. The most powerful force in our country is not our Special Ability Bureau, but his Everlasting Feast Hall. Even I still can't figure out how terrifying the Everlasting Feast Hall's power truly is so far." "The Everlasting Feast Hall? How come I haven't heard of it before?" The middle-aged man was confused. "The Everlasting Feast Hall has been staying extremely low-key in the past, even I only learned about it 2 years ago," explained Duanmu Lin. "Only after a recent special high-profile appearance of Tang Xiu did I figure out some facts about them. Yet even the tip of the iceberg shown by the Everlasting Feast Hall displayed a strength that surpassed our Special Ability Bureau, maybe even 1,000 times." "Hiss." The middle-aged man gasped and asked in a shock, "That's truly a very terrifying force, but how can the country allow?" Duanmu Lin raised his hand to interrupt him. He shook his head and forced a bitter smile. "The country? Let alone our country, even if all the countries in the world were to join forces, I'm afraid it will be close to impossible to annihilate the Everlasting Feast Hall. Do remember to never provoke this group of cultivators in the future. They won't intervene in mundane affairs, nor will they encroach the precincts of another." "Cultivators?" The burly middle-aged man shuddered a few times inwardly. He had seen such powerful cultivators in the past, yet it was still a great shock to him that the Everlasting Feast Hall was actually comprised of cultivators. "So, that Tang Xiu is?" "I can't really figure out his identity either, truthfully speaking," said Duanmu Lin helplessly. "All the cultivators of the Everlasting Feast Hall address him as a boss, but the terrifying existence who founded the Everlasting Feast Hall calls him master. Some people who are older than him even address him as Grand Master." "This?" The stocky middle-aged man was dumbfounded. Such seniority and generational ranks made him faintly shudder inside. It was because Tang Xiu was very young, yet he already had grand disciples. Most important of all was, who exactly was his master and did he have other elders in his school? Back to the Paradise Manor. Tang Xiu brought the 7 vampires from Salzburg to the European-styled building where Shanjena was staying in. Ouyang Lulu brewed fragrant tea as Tang Xiu asked her, "Where is Shanjena, though? There was a fight here, it's unlikely that she didn't notice it and is not showing up." "Well, Professor Moe took a lot of her blood yesterday, so she got angry and then went out to find Han Jintong to complain about last night. I tried calling her, but she shut off her mobile." "What did you say?" Shansley's complexion drastically changed as he abruptly got up and shouted, "You dare you to take out my younger sister's blood? Don't you know taking out the blood of vampires will cause great harm to us?" Tang Xiu rolled his eyes at him and lightly said, "If Shanjena thinks that she'd be harmed, she would have ditched her cooperation with us to study her blood already. Just have a taste of this medicinal pill. If you feel that it tastes good, then stay here for a week and help the research of my researchers. Medicinal pill? Shansley had received a call from his younger sister, Shanjena, and learned the matter about the said medicinal pill from her. He looked at the crystal-clear medicinal pill in his hand and hesitated for a short while. Then he threw it to the bloodkin behind him and said in a deep voice, "You take it." The young vampire didn't hesitate and straightly swallowed the medicinal pill right into his belly. Arg! That bloodkin's face massively changed after a few seconds as his body began spasming. His wings suddenly spread out in an instant, with eyes turned bloodshot and fangs elongated. In a flash, Shansley and the other 5 vampires vigilantly released their wings and prepared for battle. "Idiot," commented Tang Xiu as he shot an indifferent glare at Shansley. He crossed his legs and took out a cigarette before lighting it up leisurely and smoking. Time fleeted by and after 2+ minutes, a strong aura bust out from that vampire. His wings grew much bigger, while the lines on them became clearer and the mysterious runes inscribed on them increased in number. The scene made Shansley and the rest of the vampires instantly realize that this was the sign of his strengthening bloodlines, as well as his strength promotion. Did I just break through to the count rank?" exclaimed the vampire with overjoyed surprise. Shansley's jaw dropped and he was hardly able to turn his head to look at Tang Xiu. He finally understood why Tang Xiu called him an idiot. He clearly gave him the pill, yet he threw it to his underling. What if it was himself who took that pill? Wouldn't he be able to break through from count to marquis rank? Bloody woe me. Shansley watched his underling with an envious look. He took a deep breath and retracted back his wings and withdrew his bloody eyes and fangs. Then he let out a dry smile and said, "You're Mr. Tang, yes? May I know whether you still have that medicinal pill?" Tang Xiu rolled his eyes again at his words and snappily replied, "You think such a miraculous pill is common as cabbage, that you can ask for them however much you want? Do you know how many resources I spent to concoct that kind of pill?" This. Shansley scratched his hands and replied with a remorseful yet vexed face, "I admit I was in the wrong, Mr. Tang. But you Chinese have an old adage like an adult should be magnanimous for kids' mistake, right? Could you please sell it?" Right, sell me some of these pills? I promise to buy them at a high price." "High price, said Tang Xiu with a strange expression. "How high is high?" The moment Shansley heard it, his spirit soared to the sky and he replied immediately with shocking enthusiasm, "I'll give you 100 million pounds for one pill." Cough, cough. Tang Xiu just inhaled a big puff of smoke and directly choked after hearing Shansley's offer. 100 million pounds for one pill? This stuff only spent a few million yuan at most. Could he sell it for such a sky-high price? Nevertheless, he felt relieved when he gave it a thought since this type of pill was rather common to him, but for vampires, a medicinal pill that could upgrade their bloodline rank was an absolute treasure. 200 million pounds. Take it or leave it. After thinking it through and clearly understanding it, Tang Xiu straightly demanded an exorbitant price. Shansley looked hesitant for a short while before he finally nodded heavily, "I'll take it." "How many do you have?" 100, answered Tang Xiu. "Come again?" Shansley shivered for a while, dumbstruck with astonishment as he watched Tang Xiu and asked again. Tang Xiu repeated, 100. Shansley's jaws dropped before he immediately gritted his teeth. "If your pill has the same effect as the one you just gave me, I'll buy them all. But 20 billion pounds is not a small amount and I'll need half a month to get the money." Tang Xiu casually nodded at his words, yet he was quite shocked inwardly. It must be noted that 200 million pounds converted to Chinese yuan was nearly around 200 billion yuan. How could these vampires have such a huge fortune? Granted that if they had accumulated such wealth for centuries or even millenniums, could they still have enough to burn it like this? Suddenly, Tang Xiu was reminded by something. He followed up, "If you can't get so much cash, it's fine to exchange it for some other things such as jadeite and agate, gold, silver, pearls, and other treasures, or even precious mineral and herbs. You can exchange it with the remains of high-rank fierce beasts. Chapter 873, Surprising Takeaway. The offer made Shansley pleasantly surprised. Collecting £20 billion in a short time was far from easy. Even if his Salzburg clan were to sell all the properties they had been accumulated for millenniums, such a sum of money entailed strenuous effort to pay even for them. However, if he could pay with jade, agates, gold, silver, jewels, and other treasures, then he didn't have to try to sell these items to outsiders anymore. It was actually very great since they didn't have to pass through transit shipment agents' links. In addition, his clan had been restraining for several centuries and the other clans thought that they had been defeated though, in fact, they were not. They had been planning something for these few centuries, and only recently did their plan go into action. Vampire Lord. It was the plan of his clan by gathering the power of the whole clan to cultivate a super-powerful expert at the Lord rank. The one who finally became Vampire Lord was Shansley's great-grandfather after a few centuries of preparation. This was also the chief reason why his clan was highly in motion recently to destroy the other clans that had been glaring at them with their greedy eyes, and then finally occupied the huge resources of those clans. What about antiques, Mr. Tang? Do you need them? My clan has more than a millennium of heritage and we have a large collection of antiques and curios. If I remember correctly, the Chinese have a saying to gather gold in troubled times and collect in flourishing times, right? Well, it's an era of peace nowadays, so you're gonna like it, said Shansley confidently. Antiques and curios? Were they the objects that held significant pasts? What do I want to do with that stuff anyway? Keep them to waste space at my home? Forget it. Tang Shou shook his head and said, I'm only interested in jadites, agates, and those gold, jewels, and pearl-like treasures. What interests me other than those are precious ores, precious herbs, the remains of fierce beasts, and rare and very unique objects. As for others, forget it. Shansley looked regretful and sighed, well, it's a pity, though. I thought you were interested in antique and curios since the Salzburg kind has quite a massive collection, many of which come from China, like that imperial jade seal of China. Having said this point, he shook his head helplessly. Imperial jade seal of China? Tang Shou suddenly stared dumbfounded as he also recalled the Qin Emperor's imperial jade seal, which symbolized a great seal of the authority in the Qin dynasty. There was literally an endless power of faith like a vast ocean contained within, even he couldn't absorb it with his current cultivation. However, he knew very well that once his cultivation reached a critical point, like when ascending to the immortal world, he would be able to absorb that power and turned it into his own. An immortal who bathed in this kind of power would be able to condense a spiritual body and his strength would soar and become mighty. The most profound and all-encompassing cultivation technique from the Buddhist school went by the name of Myriad's Buddha canonical scripture. Tang Shou obtained a copy of this cultivation technique after killing a scum from the Buddhist realm and the art recorded, a method to absorb this so-called power of faith for own use. Shansley, can you elaborate more about this Chinese imperial jade seal? Sternly asked Tang Shou. Well, it's an imperial jade seal from the ancient times of China. Ah. Right, one that is carved with Mr. He's jade, the heirloom seal of the realm, said Shansley casually. Tell me more about this heirloom seal of the realm, continued Tang Shou. Shansley thought for a moment and then said, it's square-shaped and about 4 inches long with 5 clawed dragons carved on top of it. Right, there's a line engraved on the front side with the words, having received the mandate of heaven, may the emperor lead a long and prosperous life. My great-grandfather once studied the calligraphic style and characters. He said that it seems to be the characters from the early period of China. Tang Shou's heartbeat was beginning to race, as he had already determined that this mentioned object was the real imperial jade seal of China. But how could this seal fall into the hands of these vampires? Moreover, as a comparison, the Qin Emperor imperial jade seal had already condensed an enormous power of faith. What about this heirloom seal of the realm then? During the era of the Qin dynasty, Prime Minister Li Si ordered someone to carve Mr. He's jade, and it has been passed down from generation to generation. This heirloom was even still used during the Qing dynasty, where a line said that the heaven-bestowed mandate was given to the emperor to govern the realm with a lawful and proper manner. Would this heirloom of the realm also condense the power of faith, and, if any, how vast would it be? As Tang Xiu thought up to this point, he immediately asked, "How exactly did you get my country's imperial jade seal?" It was a man from. Rumors have it that he spent quite a fortune and a great deal of effort to get it out of China, said Shansley with a smile. I don't know how he got it, though. What I know is that my great-grandfather sucked his blood and picked it out of his collections. Tang Xiu took a deep breath and said slowly, I may not like antiques and curios, but the heirloom of the realm has been passed down for generations in China and indeed has significant meaning to my country, so it's necessary for me to recover it since I know its whereabouts. If so, then I'll take that imperial jade seal of China with an estimated worth of £5 billion. £5 billion? A quarter of the total? Shansley's eyes lit up and he replied without hesitation as though he was afraid Tang Xiu would take his words back, no problem, then the payment will be offset by £5 billion. Anyways, my Salzburg clan also has made great objects from China, you see. I don't want anything else except for that imperial jade of China for now. Tang Xiu waved and said, but I'll take a look at them when I leave China and visit your Salzburg clan in the future. You and I will naturally exchange it with the pills if I like them. Awesome. Shansley clenched his fists and excitedly waved them. As evening came, Shanjena finally returned from Han Jintong's residence. She got out from her car dispirited, but suddenly, a look of surprise covered her gorgeous face. Her nose twitched a few times as she spoke in disbelief, how is this possible? There surely was a fight here, and there is also the scent of Bloodkin's blood left behind. But, how could there be more Bloodkin here? Whoosh. A figure instantly appeared lightning fast in front of her. It was Mo Ao, whose expression was indifferent. Miss Shanjena, my boss wants to see you. Tang Xiu is back, asked Shanjena quickly. That's right, answered Mo Ao. She then pointed at the place and asked, but what has happened here? I mean, I can smell the scent of my Bloodkin's blood here. Is your big brother called Shansley? Asked Mo Ao. How did you know? Exclaimed Shanjena in alarm. Your brother has just come to Paradise Manor with 6 other vampires and fought with the people from the Special Ability Bureau, explained Mo Ao. However, the battle was concluded after my boss arrived here. Your brother, Shansley, is with the boss now. Where are they? Quickly asked Shanjena with an excited face. In your place, said Mo Ao. Whoosh. An afterimage flashed and she disappeared instantly. Inside the European-styled building, the siblings, Shanjena and Shansley, had their reunion. Tang Xiu didn't want to disturb them, so he left with Ouyang Lulu to visit her residence. Before Tang Xiu could catch his breath, however, his mobile rang. As he saw the screen light up, he noticed it was a call from Miao Wentong. Tang Xiu hesitated for a while before he picked it up. Where are you, brother Tang? I need to see you now, the Miao Wentong's hurried voice was heard from the phone. You still have that matter plaguing your mind, brother Miao? You better forget it, I think. Tang Xiu let out a dry chuckle and said, I do know 2 methods to solve it, but I dare not disclose the heavenly secret that easily, so please forgive me. Brother Tang, could you please remember the time we spent facing life and death together? Miao Wentong's voice was almost pleading. Please help my family. Tang Xiu rolled his eyes at his plea. Nothing will happen to the Miao family in the future. He had spat out some nonsensical things to frighten Miao Wentong to lead him to punish his nephew. But it seemed that he truly had scared him deeply. All right, come to Paradise Manor. Got it. After hanging up, Tang Xiu let out a wry smile and went to Ouyang Lulu's king-sized bed as he shook his head with a forced smile. Lulu, tell me, is it wrong for us to scare off our friend? It depends on the issue and the cause, answered Ouyang Lulu with a smile. Honey. Who was it? Whom have you scared, exactly? Miao Wentong, said Tang Xiu. Pfft. Ouyang Lulu couldn't help but laugh and grinningly said, aren't you both good friends? How did you scare him? He sounds very scared listening from his tone on the phone. Tang Xiu explained the whole story roughly and finally said with a helpless expression, you see, my main goal was to make him clean up his nephew, but who would have thought that he took every nonsensical shit I made up in my call seriously and he now wants me to help his Miao family. I kinda shut him out my door this morning, which was quite difficult already, but he said he's gonna see me tonight. Ouyang Lulu was so amused by Tang Xiu's story that she had a good laugh for a long time. Then, she said, honey, you're really awesome. Even you fooled such a bigwig like Miao Wentong. Anyways, it's easy to solve though. Just make up some dribbles or do something to fool Miao Wentong again if he comes and asks for your help. Just con him to the end. I did have that idea, Tang Xiu nodded. Half an hour later, Miao Wentong had come to the Paradise Club with 2 men. When he saw Tang Xiu in the spacious box of the dining area, he promptly brought out 2 beautifully wrapped gift boxes he personally delivered and said with a listless face, Brother Tang, these 2 objects are the treasures of my family that my ancestors obtained with great difficulty. These 2 objects will be yours as long as you can help my family through this difficult time. Cough, cough. Tang Xiu coughed a few times to conceal the embarrassment he had inside. He then said to him, please don't. These are your family heirlooms, how can I take them? Brother Miao, You're looking down on this brother of yours if you refuse, Brother Tang. Miao Wentong interrupted Tang Xiu and said with all seriousness, count it as me asking you a favor, could you accept it? Tang Xiu opened his mouth but swallowed back the words that he nearly spoke. Seemingly afraid that Tang Xiu wouldn't like the objects he brought him, Miao Wentong swiftly unwrapped and took out what was stored inside the gift boxes. He then took out the 2 red-colored jade objects, the jade dragon and the jade tiger, from the inside. These are Chapter 874, The Signet of Heavenly Tao. The 2 jade carvings were all red as though there was blazing flame inside, and yet, they were also lifelike, like 2 living creatures. However, there was a slightly invisible gray imprint on each head of the 2 jade carvings. Fortunately, Tang Xiu had sharp eyes and he could catch it. He wouldn't have been able to do so with the naked eye if he were an average person. Miao Wentong, in fear that Tang Xiu couldn't tell the good quality of these 2 objects, hastily explained, Brother Tang, these 2 jade carvings are the most precious treasures of my family and have been passed down for generations. Legend has it that this jade carving is part of a set of 12 pieces, each shaped according to the 12 zodiac signs. Although my family cannot figure out the mystery of this jade carving, it's been documented in my family's historic records that whoever can get a hold of the whole set of the 12 jade zodiac signs, he can reveal a certain secret and obtain enormous benefits. Tang Xiu's expression at this time, however, was very solemn and his eyes were fixated at the dragon and tiger jade carvings. He picked them up and was especially careful in holding them separately. There was energy contained within them. The torrential energy was the most colossal energy contained within an object Tang Xiu had ever encountered on Earth. If the Qin Emperor Imperial Jade Seal contained energy that was as vast as the ocean, then each of these jade carvings contained the energy of countless stars. If there was someone who could detonate this jade carving, Tang Xiu was absolutely sure that it wouldn't only be able to destroy Earth, but even 100 Earth would be blown into smithereens. Tang Xiu cautiously seeped his primal chaos force into the jade dragon, yet he felt like his power was like a fish in the water and was not rejected in the slightest. But after he moved his injected power into the gray imprint in the head of the jade dragon, his body suddenly shook and all of his consciousness was sucked inside. No, accurately speaking, it was sucked into the gray imprint, It was a sea of stars in the vast universe. Tang Xiu suddenly found himself standing in this vast universe. Countless stars revolved around him everywhere, while a series of golden lines connected the boundless stars together to form a three-dimensional celestial map filled with infinite mystery. These golden threads are... Tang Xiu's lips trembled and his eyes turned fiery. For cultivators on Earth, they wouldn't be able to recognize these golden threads, but he was able to do so since he had once used these golden lines like an arm directing their fingers. These lines were the heavenly Tao trajectory, the root of heavenly Tao in Earth's plane. Who exactly did this? Who could possibly possess such a terrifying ability to imprint this plane's heavenly Tao trajectory onto these jade carvings? Not even I can do it. Even when I was still a supreme in the immortal world and possessed the might to tear the earth and sky asunder, I wouldn't have been able to achieve this. Unless it was done by someone who has reached divinity and has broken through the shackles of the immortal world to ascend to a higher plane, to reach godhood. But then, does that mean that there was once a real divinity on Earth? If this god was not a native of the plane, it would be impossible to imprint the heavenly Tao trajectory of this plane onto these jade carvings at all. Those who have reached godhood from other planes may all be extremely powerful and terrifying, but they can only destroy the plane world, never able to control the heavenly Tao laws of the world. Destroying it is very easy, but controlling it is very difficult. Suddenly, Tang Xiu felt pained like there was a needle pricking his brain. It caused his consciousness to be driven out from that particular space instantly. Not only did he spray out a mouthful of blood at this moment, but his blood also flowed out of his eyes, even his nostrils. Brother Tang. Miao Wintong's face drastically turned shocked and he hurriedly called out. Tang Xiu composed his mind back, shook his head and said, I'm fine. It's just a backlash. Brother Miao, these two jade carvings are truly precious, so precious that even those who have been cultivating for thousands of years will find them very difficult to control. I won't hide anything from you. Those who have ascended to the immortal world, or even the true perfected golden immortal, won't be able to control them. Unless what? Asked Miao Wentong quickly. Unless you can reach a supremacy stage in the immortal world, only then will you barely be able to control them, said Tang Xiu in a line. Also, if my guess is correct, once one collects the entire set of 12 and can control them completely, these objects will be able to aid the immortal world supreme to pass through the heavenly tribulation smoothly, breaking through the shackles of the immortal world and ascend to the god's realm. Hiss. Miao Wentong gasped as the immortal was very far away for him. More so the supremacy stage and the god's realm. They were all out of his comprehension. Brother Tang, do the immortal world and the god's realm really exist? Asked Miao Wentong prudently. Tang Xiu shot him a deep look and solemnly nodded, I don't want to hide them from you anymore now. There are indeed other higher planes aside from the plane our Earth is located on, such as the immortal world, Buddhist realm, demon realm, monster realm, specter realm, spirit realm, and so on. But above these realms is the god's realm, which has myriads of races of monsters, demons, ghosts, immortals, Buddhas, and saints. Let me tell you one thing. If our Earth plane is just a grain of sand, then the immortal world is the Milky Way, while the god's realm is the vast and boundless universe. Miao Wentong trembled and gasped as he asked, Can you tell me something, Brother Tang? How do you know all of this? It's inconvenient to tell you for now, but give me some time. Tang Xiu shook his head and said, I'll naturally tell you once I shatter the void and ascend to the immortal world one day. Breaking the void and ascending to the immortal world? Miao Wintong's body froze as though he was struck by a lightning bolt. Tang Xiu looked at the two jade carvings with fascination. Only after a long time did he slowly say, Brother Miao, how about making a deal with me? What deal? Asked Miao Wentong. Give these two jade carvings to me and I'll give you a real immortal cultivation technique, said Tang Xiu. You will definitely see the hope to ascend to the immortal world in the future if you cultivate well. If you want it, I promise to protect you until you become the peak stage of a golden core expert. The peak stage of golden core? Wasn't that the existence in legends? Miao Wentong nearly shouted that he agreed with it. But he then recalled his purpose of meeting Tang Xiu tonight and immediately said, "Brother Tang, about the disaster that will befall upon my family a few years later. I'll help you and solve it once and for all," said Tang Xiu with a deep voice. "A deal, then," said Miao Wentong excitedly. He just weighed the pros and cons inwardly and thought that he had figured out some issues. These two jade carvings evidently had tremendous aid for Tang Xiu while they were of no effect on him and his family. Other than them being kept and passed down for generations in his family, they had no other use, so it was better to exchange them for the immortal cultivation technique from Tang Xiu. 2 hours later, Tang Xiu had imparted a cultivation technique from the immortal world to Miao Wentong. He watched his shocked yet overjoyed expression and then said with all seriousness, "You already have a foundation of Taoist cultivation, so if you practice this immortal cultivation technique, you can take your cultivation a step further. If you want to speed up, however, you'll have to cultivate assiduously in the future. I'll make sure to provide you with resources for your cultivation. I can guarantee that you'll be a powerhouse at the peak stage of golden core in 10 years at the most, that is, as long as you work hard." Becoming a peak stage golden core within 10 years? Miao Wentong was so excited that he nearly cried out. This was a huge opportunity he had never dared to imagine or dream about. He even felt like he was dreaming when he recalled that he had learned an immortal cultivation technique. Then, about my family, yet, Miao Wentong still didn't forget the purpose of his visit. "About that, there are 2 methods," said Tang Xiu. 1. The Miao family cannot have new family members within 3 years, while each one of you must make a sacrifice by cutting one of your arms and legs. Only after you've broken your hands, feet, and bloodline will you be able to cast away the disaster that will bring about the utter destruction of your Miao family." Miao Wentong's expression enormously changed and he hastily asked again, "What about the second one?" "The origin of the calamitous destruction is because of one person. He must shave his head, be driven out of the Miao family tree, and leave China. Only if he doesn't set foot in China for the rest of life can your family be safe from danger." Miao Jinlei. Miao Wentong thought inwardly and immediately chose the second option. Had it been before, Miao Wentong could only believe 99% of everything Tang Xiu said, there was still that 1% of doubt and suspicion. But after Tang Xiu taught him the immortal cultivation technique, only then did he fully realize how terrifying Tang Xiu's means and abilities were. "I know what has to be done, Brother Tang," said Miao Wentong solemnly. Tang Xiu nodded and then took out a bottle of medicinal pills. He handed it to Miao Wentong and said, "There are 10 essence amassing pills inside. You'll take one every 2 weeks. You should be broken through to the peak stage of foundation establishment once you take all of them. 5 months later, go to Jingmen Island's Everlasting Feast Hall to find Ji Qimei, and she'll give the next pills that you'll need." "Got it, and thanks, Brother Tang." Miao Wentong received it excitedly and sincerely conveyed his heartfelt gratitude. Tang Xiu shook his head while sighing inwardly since he had actually taken advantage of this guy with a cheap exchange. However, though he could only help him with this for the time being, he promised to help him again if he encountered something difficult in the future. Amidst the obscurity of the night, Tang Xiu walked Miao Wentong to the parking lot of the Paradise Club. Then he inquired about the issue he most wanted to find out about. "Brother Miao, your family only has the jade dragon and tiger out of the 12 sets of zodiac signs. Where should I find the rest of these jade carvings?" "My family really only has these 2, but I can help you find the rest in secret if you want to, though," said Miao Wentong. "I'll notify you right away once I get the news." Tang Xiu thought about it for a while before he shook his head and said, "There's no need to find them secretly. Let's just do this openly. As long as the rest of the jade carvings are still in our country, I believe they will be found soon. So I'll be issuing an announcement that I'll provide $100 million for anyone who has a zodiac jade carving. $10 million will go to anyone who provides accurate information of its whereabouts." Miao Wentong produced a wry smile and said, Aren't you playing it a bit big, Brother Tang? The whole country will be swept over by a huge sensation once you announce that. If I can find more jade carvings, then even only one of them is worth the money and announcement, said Tang Xiu. Chapter 875, Visiting with Sincerity. After Tang Xiu sent Miao Wenong away, he immediately went to see Moe and Gui Jianzhou. He learned from the duo that they had successfully extracted the active cell in the bloodkin's blood. They were now trying to fuse it with Chinese herbal medicines to research drugs that would benefit humanity. Therefore, Tang Xiu lent the interspatial ring that he obtained from Ji Qimei to Moe temporarily, while Shansley and his 6 underlings donated quite a lot of their blood and stored them away inside the jade bottle. The jade bottle was then stowed inside the fully sealed interspatial ring. Shanjena also left 3 days later with her big brother Shansley. The latter promised to ship the Imperial Jade Seal of China along with the huge resources Tang Xiu requested to China within a week. All the goods had been measured in worth and the estimated total value was to be deducted from the remaining 15 billion GBP. Finally, Tang Xiu's life had returned to peacefulness. In the days that followed, he occasionally went out or met with his friends, and spent the rest of his time to study and read at home. As the days passed, there were only 2 days left before the end of his freshman year. The sun blazed like a ball of fire as it hung high in the sky. Blue Star Villa Complex. Tang Xiu was currently reading the book silently, yet his mind was racing. It was about his next plan of action, the most important thing he needed to do, to make a trip to the Longquan Bay in Kaunas to open the Immortal Trove. After that, he needed to make a trip to Nine Dragons Island, as the renovation project there had reached its most critical time. The island would be his home base in the future, so there must not be any problems arising there later. Ring, ring, ring. His mobile suddenly rang loudly and interrupted his train of thoughts. Tang Xiu glanced at the mobile screen. He immediately creased his brows and asked, "What's up, Ah?" Chief Kong came to Shanghai, boss. Kong Xia?
Yeah,
Tang Xiu said with a curious tone. Why did she come to Shanghai without notifying in advance? That's weird. Anyways, just forget it. Where's she now? Our men just saw her at Shanghai airport, answered Moao. Tang Xiu replied shortly, and, after hanging up, he directly dialed Kong Xia's cell number. He hadn't yet talked, but her voice already spoke from the phone. This isn't fun, you know. I wanted to surprise you, but you turned out to get the news of me coming to Shanghai already. Well, why did you come to Shanghai at this time? Asked Tang Xiu with a chuckle. I miss you. Kong Xia chuckled and said, It just happens that the last few days I have been relatively idle. Nor do I have anything to do in the next couple of days, so I just gave myself a few days of vacation. I've been mulling over it for some time, but any place without you is kinda boring, so I just came to Shanghai. Anyways, let's go back to Star City after you're done with your final exams. Return to Star City with you? What should I do there? Asked Tang Xiu quizzically. You know, Boss Tang. Your bad memory is kinda getting worse. You only ask others to do things without getting involved yourself, berated Kong Xia with a wry tone. The new city project originally planned to be opened for sale June 1st. But since the Long family had a problem with the Walled Hill Village a year ago, the project was affected and it has been delayed until now. We've prepared quite a sum this time, yet how can we open without you personally attending? Tang Xiu came to his senses suddenly and smilingly said, I would have truly forgotten about it if not for you reminding me. All right, then head straight to my place in Blue Star Villa Complex. Got it. Wait for me there. At noon, Kong Xia came with a suitcase in hand. She didn't hide the look of excitement on her stunningly beautiful face when she saw Tang Xiu. She gave him a big hug, and, while leaning in his embrace, she asked, It's been a long time since we've met. We've only been communicating by phone, have you been missing me? I miss you, said Tang Xiu with a smile. Kong Xia pouted and said in a whisper, "Humph, you miss me yet you didn't even come to see me in Star City at all. I heard you went to Qingqing Mountain a few days ago and stayed there for quite a long time." "There was a very important thing I needed to tend to there," said Tang Xiu. "I know that you have things to do and it was very important." "But seriously? How busy are you exactly?" commented Kong Xia. "What thing do you have to do besides managing our magnificent Tang Corporation and the everlasting feast hall?" Tang Xiu couldn't help but laugh and said, "What else but cultivation besides those two things, right? You know well that wealth and fortune are nothing to me in reality, regardless of what kind of status and privileges I could have from them. What I always pursue is strength by reaching higher cultivation realms." "I know that, so I'm gonna tell you good news," said Kong Xia with laughter. "You see, this lady has just broken through into the foundation establishment stage. I'll be quite a powerful expert later too." "You just broke through to foundation establishment?" asked Tang Xiu, amazed and surprised. "You didn't expect that, did you?" said Kong Xia proudly. "My luck was so good, a friend of mine who works abroad all year round came to China and visited me. She showed me a string of beads when we spent our time together. I loved them so much because I could feel a very strong spiritual chi flowing from them. Later on, after my friend saw me enjoying that string of beads, she gave them to me. And, tada! This is the string." Tang Xiu's vision fell on Kong Xia's raised wrist. The string of beads had a dim but colorful luster, consisting of 36 beads in total. What surprised him was that when his fingers touched it, he could clearly sense a surge of spiritual chi, including spiritual energy that reacted by swarming toward his hand and entering his body. A magical tool, and one that is inscribed with the Spirit Amassing Restitution Array? It was very unexpected for Tang Xiu to see a magical tool inscribed with the Spirit Amassing Restitution Array on Earth. It was a very common magical tool in the immortal world that regular artificers could manufacture. How could I be so stupid all this time? While I don't have to constantly absorb the world's spiritual energy to strengthen myself, those who cultivate under my instruction are formally Taoist cultivators. If everyone wears such magical tools with the Spirit Amassing Restitution Array inscribed on it, their cultivation will definitely advance by leaps and bounds." Kong Xia was unaware of Tang Xiu's thoughts and she proudly smiled. "What do you think? These beads are quite a good item, aren't they? I've been thinking about giving it to you once I meet you to help improve your cultivation." Tang Xiu loosened her wrist before shaking his head and replying, "I don't need this string of beads as it doesn't have much help to me. To be honest, I can and will also manufacture this kind of magical tool. I'll refine a batch of them when I have some spare time." "Magical tool? You will manufacture things like this too?" Kong Xia's face was full of amazement as she looked at Tang Xiu, but the proud and satisfying feeling in her heart actually turned into a loss. It was her specific purpose in coming to Shanghai to give such a precious treasure, and the result? It turned out that Tang Xiu didn't need it.
"Yeah,
"I can refine them indeed." Tang Xiu nodded. "Although I don't need this string of beads, you remind me that I have those whom I've been training. If everyone has this magical tool, it would be very helpful to their cultivation a lot." "Thank you, Kong Xia." The feeling of loss Kong Xia felt inside was alleviated a lot, and she replied with a smile, "Don't thank me, though. Being able to help you is my biggest joy." Endless whispers of love were forever the best emotional comfort. It made Tang Xiu still feel warmness despite having a heart that was as hard as stone. He picked up Kong Xia's suitcase while his other hand held her hand and smilingly replied, "All right, let's go upstairs and have some rest. We'll have dinner this evening." But today, it was destined that huge, shocking news would sweep the entirety of China like a tornado. TV stations, newspapers, magazines, the internet, and communication media, all of them were focusing on one topic: that Grand Fortune Jewelry is looking for the 12 zodiac jade carvings. Anyone who has a zodiac jade carving can contact the Grand Fortune Jewelry's general manager, Hao Lei. Once it's appraised to be truly part of the set, Grand Fortune Jewelry will purchase it at the price of $100 million US. $100 million US. It was a stratospherically large amount of money in the eyes of countless people. The news was like a nuke falling into the hearts of Chinese citizens, starting a great uproar. Jiang Province, Lianying County. Yang Pingchao was smoking a cigarette while squatting in front of the old and shabby paper kiosk at the entrance of the county's top high school. His eyes kept glancing around as if he was looking for someone. Have you asked around clearly, Mengzi? Did Yuli really say she would be a girlfriend to anyone who has money? Yang Pingchao frowned and asked the thin youth named Mengzi next to him.
Yeah.
I have asked around clearly about that, said Mingji. Yuli did say so. I also heard that Beauty Queen Yu received a call from Wang Wei, a young master of Dongda Steel's boss in our county, and they talked for a long time too. Wang Wei. Yang Pingchao frowned and said, isn't that the guy who depends on the wealth and influence of his family to live a prodigal life all day? Wasn't he the guy you beat last time? How come he's still in contact with Yuli? I beat him once, and he found someone to beat me back thrice, said Mingzi in a whisper. Boss, you've been staying in Zheng City for these 2 years, and those bastards in the county have been giving us no face. They accounted for a long time as well. I didn't tell you about this before in fear of losing face. Yang Pingchao's face turned cold. He snorted coldly and said, don't worry. 10 years is not too late for a man to exact his revenge. If Wang Wei has got the guts to smash you, then I'll clean him up sooner or later all the same. Huh? Yuli is out. Yang Pingchao put down the cigarette and ran to the school gate. As a beautiful girl with a good figure walked out with her bag, he blocked her and said, Yuli, I want to talk to you. There was a look of excitement in Yuli's eyes when she saw Yang Pingchao, but the light faded back into the depths of her eyes in a flash as she squeezed out a smile and said, when did you come back, Pingchao? I just came back today for only one purpose, said Yang Pingchao. I want to ask you something. Is the recent rumor about you true? The smile on Yuli's face disappeared instantly and the ruddiness on her cheeks quickly faded away. She looked a bit flustered and also paled in silence. But it couldn't hide the truth from betraying her in Yang Pingchao's eyes. Yang Pingchao took out a bank card and handed it over while speaking. I know that I only made a small amount of money in the past 2 years, but compared to those students, I still have a lot more. This card has 65,000 yuan, my savings for the past 2 years. You? Yuli looked up and watched Yang Peng incredulously.